If your home or business is affected by a fire or water damage, it is imperative to contact a fire and water damage restoration company as soon as possible. The damage resulting from a flood or fire can be devastating. Ash, soot, standing water, and mold can all damage your property. You need fast service to minimize the damage and restore your property to its pre-fire condition. But how do you find a company that offers top-notch fire and water damage restoration services? There are many things you should do to prevent a water or fire damage situation. One of the most important things is to prevent the damage from happening in the first place. While some small damages can be repaired on your own, you should seek professional assistance if you don't have the time to do it yourself. While it's tempting to try to repair a fire or water-damaged building yourself, it's safer to use a fire and water restoration company. Once the fire department has left, you should begin the fire and water damage restoration process. The water used in extinguishing a fire may have caused more damage than you realized, and you need to be sure your property is protected from mold. A good fire safety plan can save your life. Once the fire trucks leave, you'll need a professional to come in and complete the fire and water damage restoration process. Once the fire and water removal have been completed, the restoration process can begin. Before you begin the restoration process, it is essential to get a quick assessment of the damage. This will help you to plan your fire mitigation efforts and prepare for the fire and water restoration process. It's crucial to have the entire home assessed so that you can prepare accordingly. Remember, water damage can result in mold growth and degradation of various items. Even if it wasn't caused by the fire, you can still salvage certain items. After a fire, smoke damage restoration is critical to getting your property back to its previous condition. Smoke removal is essential for minimizing the danger of mold and odors. And since the fire has spread, you'll want to get rid of the smoke as quickly as possible. The best way to do this is to use a professional fire and water damage restoration service. There are many companies offering these services and the prices are competitive. Fire and water damage restoration professionals will assess the extent of damage and recommend the best restoration plan. Once they've assessed the damage, the restoration professionals will begin the process of water damage cleanup. Depending on the extent of damage, you might have to do some cleanup yourself to reduce the risk of mold. After a fire, you might have to clean up water-damaged items yourself to prevent mold and mildew from forming. Fire and water damage restoration professionals will assess the area to identify any damage and assess the extent of water damage. If you've had a water damage or flood, you'll need to clean up the area. They'll remove items from the home to be cleaned and restored. The next step is to make sure your home is dry before hiring a fire and water damage restoration company. After all, no one wants to spend money on repairs after a fire. Fire and water damage restoration is an essential part of recovery after a disaster. A fire can cause extensive damage to a home, so if you experience a disaster, the restoration company will be able to assess the situation and make recommendations. There are many ways to find a fire and water damage restoration company. The best way to find a fire and water damage restoration company is to ask around. You can also ask friends and family about the cost of fire and water restoration. Upon finding a fire and water damage restoration company, it's important to determine if your home has been damaged. Often, water damage isn't as visible as fire, but the presence of water damage can cause dangerous conditions for your home. After the fire, you should call a local fire and water damage restoration company to check the structure of your home. The damage caused by a fire or water loss can be extensive.